The 2025 Houston Texans offense very well could be defined by their offensive line, but how did it look in the open OTAs and mandatory minicamp for the Houston Texans, and what can we glean from that heading into training camp in late July? Let's talk about it, presented by my friends at The Perfect Gene, the best, stretchiest, breathable, and most comfortable jeans I've ever worn are from The Perfect Gene. You can get your own pair, 15% off and free shipping and free exchanges if you don't like the color or the fit or the style. In the link in the description down below. Appreciate The Perfect Gene for sponsoring the video. So the offensive line, you knew it's going to be a big talking point for the Houston Texans in 2025. And really, I don't know that we'll ever be comfortable in 2025 with the offensive line. There's always going to be that, is the other shoe going to drop with the offensive line? But I do feel a little bit better about the offensive line coming out of OTAs and minicamp and heading into training camp. Now, I'm not telling you that they've figured it out and they've solved this thing and the floor is much higher and the ceiling's much higher and they're going to be a much better offensive line. But I just feel a little bit better based off of what I was able to see from the open practices and the mandatory minicamp. First, I just feel like from an appearance standpoint, this offensive line just looks a lot better than previous offensive lines from a physicality standpoint. They look bigger. Some of the athleticism that these linemen showcase in some of the drills and even in some of the plays where you've got linemen getting out there and running behind the line of scrimmage to go to the other side. They just look a little bit more physically impressive than previous offensive lines that the Houston Texans have had. They've got a lot of guys that are just very stout players, led mostly by Laken Tomlinson, who just looks like a refrigerator out there blocking when he's at left guard. So physically, it looks like a little bit better offensive line than previous years. Sometimes looks can be deceiving, but they haven't been that deceiving here. As far as the offensive line performance in camp, I noticed multiple times, even when Davis Mills was in there before Stroud was throwing, but especially after Stroud got in there and was throwing, that this offensive line, especially those interior guys, the two guards in the center, really didn't matter who was in there. The offensive line had that pocket available for the quarterbacks to step up into. How many times last year was there no pocket to step into? CJ Stroud had to roll out, try to make something happen, and it was chaos and a disaster more often than not. Felt like it happened a lot last year. That was not the case with this offensive line. I saw many times pressure comes off the edges. There was room for the quarterback to take a few steps forward and still operate within the pocket, not have to bail, not have to worry about getting crushed off the edges because he had space to step up. The interior offensive line was the main problem for the Houston Texans last year. They did not get consistency out of either of the guard spots or the center position. And it was a really tough portion of the offensive line to deal with, being very leaky, as it allowed guys to get to CJ Stroud quicker and kept him from being able to comfortably operate within the pocket. You saw a lot of broken pockets. You saw a lot of defenders chasing Stroud down because it did, fall deeper out of the pocket, get deeper in his drops, and then just had to make something happen. But I thought that interior offensive line had some good moments where they were protecting CJ Stroud. Another thing that I felt like the offensive line did pretty well, the defense didn't throw a lot of this at them, but when there were defensive line games, stunts and things of that nature, I thought the O-line held up pretty darn well against the defensive line in those. Yeah, every now and then, maybe a blitz off the edge, they were able to get to CJ Stroud, but there wasn't a lot of leakiness in the middle because an end flew around the tackle and the tackle kicked out towards the offensive tackle, and there was just chaos and they didn't know what to do. It looked like they knew where to be at home, knew how to pick up and at least slow down some of those games that the offensive line had to deal with from the defensive line in training camp. So I thought there were some really impressive moments from the offensive line, and certainly in the final mini camp, they even held their own a couple times against that what would be kind of a first-team defensive line with Danielle Hunter off the edge, Will Anderson off the edge. Now, there's still some moments where clearly Danielle Hunter took care of his business, and Obviously, Will Anderson, who's been there through the OTAs and the minicamp, he had a lot of success against the tackles. He's going to have a lot of success against all the tackles in the National Football League this year, not just the Texans tackles. But coming out of OTAs, minicamps, feel just a little bit better about the offensive line. Do I feel great? No. But could they be the 22nd best offensive line instead of the 30th best offensive line? Sure, that would be a big-time improvement. Another thing that helps out the offensive line, that's not totally the offensive line, but it's something important about the offensive line. How many times can I say the word offensive line? Is the quarterbacks get rid of the ball to receivers who win quickly. Short routes and taking what is there and taking what the defense gives them is something the quarterbacks did a ton in OTAs and minicamp, and that's an element of holding it down when you don't have the greatest offensive line. It's getting rid of the ball fast enough. Think about how many times we've thought about this Texans defensive line, and the other team's quarterback just gets rid of it as fast as he can. The Texans offense didn't do that well last year. It looks like that's an element that they are working on to make sure they can handle that in 2025 after failing to do it in 2024. So again, a little bit better about the offensive line. I got tricked last year. I was excited because they had their offensive line that they'd wanted coming out of the 2023 NFL draft. They finally were able to put that O-line on the field, and it wasn't a very good offensive line. So I got tricked, and I'm a little bit harsher on these offensive linemen now after I wasn't as harsh as they were last year, and then the performance they had last year turned out. So to get me kind of feel just a little bit better, it's pretty good jobs there in OTAs and minicamps. I want to get to some superlatives about the offensive line right after I tell you about my friends at the Perfect Jean, the most comfortable jeans I have ever worn. Breathable, stretchy. I'm not ripping the seat out when I go to get in my truck like all these other jeans. I can actually wear them when it's hot outside because it doesn't just trap heat in there. Look, it's still going to be warm. It's Houston, but it's easier to operate in the Perfect Jean in the heat than it is any of the other jeans I've ever worn. Hard for me to find jeans. I'm a big guy. It's not always comfortable, not always easy to find jeans. The Perfect Jean had jeans for me, and they've got jeans for you. Tons of different styles from slim cut to boot cut, and the athletic fit that I wear, tons of different colors as well. I got a black pair, I got a light blue pair. There's plenty of colors for you at the Perfect Jean, and you're getting 15% off, free shipping, and free exchanges when you use my link in the description down below. Check them out. They truly are the best jeans that I've ever worn in my entire life. You'll enjoy them as well. How about some superlatives about this offensive line coming out of minicamp and OTAs? Let's go with a big surprise. My big surprise so far, Jake Andrews at center. Andrews was a free agent waived by the New England Patriots and claimed by the Houston Texans. And coming into OTAs and minicamp, I thought, all right, a little bit of an afterthought. He's played like 70 snaps in the NFL in 2 seasons. Nothing really to see here. Well, when you think about Andrews' history, played at Troy with a offensive line coach named Cole Popovich, who happens to be the current offensive line coach for the Houston Texans. And that was the only year he really played center. And now he's playing center for the Texans. Hey, Andrews got a crack at this thing, and they clearly believe that he could be the starting center. He's getting opportunities to snap the ball to the first quarterback out there. So Andrews, a guy to pay attention to in training camp, pretty stout guy. Haven't seen him challenged a ton. There's only so much physicality you can get, but a guy that felt like an afterthought now being the guy at center, he's the big surprise. The little surprise so far, about Jalen Thomas, guy that really didn't play that much last year, formerly an SMU tackle and listed still as a tackle on the roster, but a lot of left guard action for him, a lot of right guard action for him. Left guard when maybe Laken Tomlinson isn't in there, right guard a couple of different times with different different setups on the offensive line, different moving pieces. They told us there would be moving pieces. There are lots of moving pieces, and Thomas is one of them. He's playing a new position, and they clearly believe he can do it. So big surprise, Jake Andrews. Little surprise, Jalen Thomas as a depth guy that can play a little bit of guard, and obviously he's got the tackle background that can factor in for him as well. So he's the little surprise. How about Mr. Versatility? I'm awarding that one to Titus Howard. Titus Howard is playing right guard in OTAs and minicamp. And I feel like if they had to play a football game tomorrow, Titus Howard would play right guard for the Houston Texans. And so by that, he's now played, learning right guard. He played left guard last year. He's played right tackle. He's played left tackle before. Hey, Mr. Versatility, all the offensive line spots. And even if Howard doesn't end up being the starting right guard for this team, he could be a big-time backup factor at 4 of the 5 offensive line positions. His contract is such that he's not really going anywhere this year, so it'd be great if he could just lock down a starting spot. But even if he doesn't start for the Texans, he's got usefulness as a backup that can play a couple of different positions along the offensive line. So I think that earns him the Mr. Versatility superlative. Okay, watch your back, because your spot's in danger, Juice Scruggs. That's my watch your back guys, Juice Scruggs. Jared Patterson getting center snaps after Jake Andrews in some of the rotations, and it's tough to tell exactly what is second team, what is third team. They've mixed and matched a ton of different things. But Scruggs, he was healthy last year and played okay at right guard, and they decided to bench him for coming off of a month-long injury, Shaq Mason. And then Scruggs is not getting opportunities right away at center or even right after Andrews at center. He's playing a little guard and then maybe playing a little bit of center. It's just watch your back season for Juice Scruggs. Being okay at a couple of spots on the inside. If someone's really good at center and there's a backup center option and then there's other backup guard options, it might be running out of time and running out of spots there for Juice Scruggs. So watch your back, Juice Scruggs. And finally, for the superlatives, I don't envy your workday, Blake Fisher. Boy, Blake Fisher, he's had a rough go of things in OTAs and minicamp because primarily he's got to try to block Will Anderson, and that is a dubious job to be handed day in and day out. And Anderson hit him with some speed. Anderson has been using some different moves and showing off some things. So Blake Fisher's had a rough go of things in OTAs and minicamp, and I really wouldn't have noted it unless D'Amico Ryans, when he talked about Fisher, noted, hey, still got to work on pad level, getting low enough there at right tackle. And oh, by the way, the Texans have plenty of challengers for Fisher's right tackle spot. They've got the rookie Ariante Ursery. They've got Titus Howard as well, plus Zach Thomas, a guy who was claimed off of waivers last year, was with the team last year, and then has played some right tackle in OTAs and minicamp as well. So plenty of challengers for Fisher's spot. So when he has a tough work day, you pay a little bit of attention because, sometimes guys after him don't have as tough of assignment, but nobody's really consistently blocking Will Anderson. So you don't want to be too critical of Blake Fisher. But when a guy like Casey Toohill gets him and other guys are having success against Toohill, you start to worry a little bit about Fisher. Now, after I've told you all this about the offensive line, you feel a little bit better about him? You still worried about him? I mean, you should still be worried about him. I'm still worried about him, but do you feel a little bit better? Let me know in the comment section down below. On your way down there, thumbs up on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Don't forget to visit my friends at The Perfect Jean. Get yourself the best pair of jeans that you're ever going to wear from my friends at The Perfect Jean. You're going to get super lightweight, durable, comfortable, stretchy jeans from The Perfect Jean, and you're going to get 15% off your first order when you use my link in the description down below, and free shipping and free exchanges if you don't like it. I got a pair of gray jeans. I didn't love the color, and the exchange process is super easy. It is so easy to get exchanged, to get exactly what you want. You're going to love The Perfect Jeans from The Perfect Jean. Check them out in the link in the description down below. Appreciate you watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I owe you a food review, so it's coming your way right now. All right, food review time, and I'm pretty excited about this one. Beer can chicken Pringles, combining two of my favorite things, beer and chips, into one thing. This was just $2 over at Walmart. The beer can chicken limited edition Pringles. Now, they got a couple of other flavors. This one sounded the best to me. They've got a beer braised steak, and they've got a grilled beer brat. Now, the beer can chicken sounded like the best to me, but if you want to try out those other ones, $2 at the Walmart can get it going for you. And man, it's been a while since I've had some Pringles, so let's get into it. And let's get that fresh crack. Ooh. Oh, these do smell like a beer can chicken. And look, hey, Pringles doesn't cheat you like the bag people. They're right up to the top here. And the Pringles, you get a little bit of seasoning on there, not a lot. Okay, you can kind of see, a little bit of seasoning. The undercarriage is where you get a lot of the seasoning. Let's get the beer can chicken limited edition Pringles a try here. Yo, that's good. Make another shot at this. Okay, see, here's what I like about this. Pringles didn't give you some description over on the side about what to expect. This is the flavor profile, yada, yada. They just got it right on there. They said, here's the beer can chicken Pringles, and this is what it's going to taste like. This is a chip. It feels very light. Like the flavor is light. Obviously, it's Miller Lite, but I thought maybe with the beer can chicken and trying to get the beer flavor in there, it would be a heavy flavor, but it's really not. You definitely get that sort of artificial chicken flavor that you get in maybe, when you do a top ramen and it's kind of got that artificial chicken flavor in there because they don't have real chicken bits in your ramen. It's kind of got that flavor to it, but you do get the lightness of what I assume is going to be the Miller Lite flavor. It's a pretty good chip. I'm going to get one more in here. I'm not sure that I would eat like half a container of these. Like sometimes, like Pringles barbecue or Pringles salt and vinegar, I could eat down, to here on the first open. That's not the case with this chip. And I kind of like this trend in chips where you just want a few of them. Okay. You want a few of them. And I could do, this is a great few of them. Like you'd want like 10 of these with a sandwich or something. You wouldn't just sit there and and then have to pour it out because your hand doesn't reach all the way in there. That's a good one. That's a good one. It's not an amazing chip, but it's a worth. I mean, for $2 and a big Pringles can investment, I think it's worth it. The scale is 1 to 11. 11 being the best thing that you've ever tasted. This is a solid. I'd go like 8.4. 8.4. Now I know some of the other chips we've had have been much higher. This is not a bad chip. I just think it's worth the novelty. And the fact that you don't want to eat like 30 of them is a positive to me because I think that flavor would be just too much if you had a bunch. But, just a handful of beer can, chicken, Miller Lite, limited edition Pringles. They'll take care of you. 8.4. Good job, Pringles. Good job, Miller Lite. And I wonder if I'm missing out by not getting the steak and the brat.